we raised our kids with the idea that you're not allowed to date before you're 18. And people think that's just insane. None of them gave us any pushback.
Why not?
Part of it was because, well, one, we homeschooled.
Oh, that's there we go. That's the real.
Yeah. That was huge. But the
no
thing
contact.
But that wasn't it, right? Homeschool is not like there was a time where homeschool was a much more isolating experience than it is now. It's not now. They still went to co-ops. They still went to sporting events. Both my daughters did theater at an all boys school because they needed girls to come to play the parts. So imagine sending your daughter who's not allowed to date to an all boys school to do theater because it's one of the best gigs in town, right? So they still had a lot of exposure. They were out there constantly with friends and people that were not, but there wasn't constant pressure from a very early age on who's your boyfriend, who's your girlfriend, who are you dating now? Because you know the deal. And this starts in like 7th or 8th grade. This is just a series of 1 to 2 week things where people are constantly getting mad and frustrated and there's drama everywhere. And
my first relationship was like 2.5 months in 7th grade.
Yeah.
So I think.
So wow, you were
2.5 months.
I feel like
give yourself some time.
Some of those experiences I think are important. I mean, because you learn about different social interactions and things that if you're 18 going into it for the first time, you could be severely behind the curve. Because I feel like as like women are way more attuned to like body language and social situations, and guys are not. And you have to almost learn that as a dude to like pick up on a lot of stuff.
I mean, my oldest daughter is happily married at age 21. And went into that marriage with 0 baggage.
Should a man ask his girlfriend's dad permission to marry her?
Yes.
100%.
No hesitation whatsoever. But I will say this, because that's become you see your daughter as property. No. I don't see my daughter as property. I see another man coming in to fulfill a responsibility that I've had since that little girl was born, right? Since that little girl was in the womb, I've had the responsibility to protect and provide and to create a world where she could flourish and be safe and feel loved and cherished. And now I'm handing that responsibility over to another young man. So yeah, he damn well better ask my permission, because if I don't think he's ready, there's going to be some problems. But I will tell you this. I can say that with my favorite tough guy tone. And I did a lot in my life to try to be intimidating to a potential boy, right? Green Berets, Ranger School, Sniper School. Like there's all sorts of things that I could put on the wall to show him that I'll bury you. Telling someone that they have to ask your permission for your daughter's hand really only has value if she makes them do it. So I can do it from an intimidating standpoint, but the fact that my daughter insisted that he get my permission, that's where you know that the trust has been made in the appropriate way, is that this isn't property. She trusts that her father, who loves her and knows her very well and wants the best for her, if he says that he's a good guy, then she not only knows what she feels and what she understands about him, but it's a vetting process. So I would say that statement of should he ask? Yes. But the one that truly gives that value is your daughter when she demands it.
Graham had a very funny experience to ask Macy's.
Oh yeah, her dad. It was really tough getting him alone. That was the difficult part, and she had purposely gone with her mom and sister. I think it was to get like a coffee or something.
Yeah.
And then I think her dad was like, "Oh, maybe I'll come along too." And I think we got him off that. Yeah. But then her brother was also staying back. Like, he didn't want to go at all. And they're like, "Oh, you should come." And he's like, no. I think they're like watching a sports game or something like that. And I could not get him away from her dad. Because they were kind of like watching a game together. Yeah. I brought up something. He was doing some landscape work. And I brought up like the landscape. Because I knew her brother was not going to be interested in the landscape. I was like, "You should show me the landscape." He went outside and he wouldn't stop talking about the landscape. And I didn't know when I could tell him, like, I'm not interested, but I want to be polite and let him talk about the landscape.
Sure. Yeah.
And then after a while, I think I said, "Hey, listen, I didn't bring you out to talk about the landscape. Like, I don't really." But, and then I went into it. And he's like, "Oh," but after he'd been talking about the landscape for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a little awkward for me to bring that up at that time.
But you were being respectful. That's a huge thing for a guy, right? That's a huge thing for a dad.
But I was half paying attention because the entire time I was waiting for a good break. to then, and the entire time I'm watching a brother, like watching this game on TV, and I didn't want to I didn't want him to come out. So I knew I was a bit on a time, a time crunch.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
So.
But you got the answer you wanted.
I got the answer.
Yeah. My son-in-law, they had been dating for a year and a half. And he's standing, and I was so used to him being over at our house, right? Because they hung out at our house all the time. And so he's over, and I'm like, oh yeah, Lily's gonna get here soon. He's like, hey, Mr. Freitas, I need to talk to you about something. And I'm like, are we doing this right now? He goes, I got to do it right now, Mr. Freitas. I'm like, are you kidding me? No, dude, you got to set up an appointment. This is no. He's like, got to talk to you right now, Mr. Freitas. I'm like, okay, all right, let's do it. And he did a great job. I asked him some questions. But
what were the questions?
Just about discussions that they had. I asked him about things that were important to him, and I already knew these things, but there's something to be said, and no, I'm going to ask you, and I want a definitive answer. Yeah. So it wasn't anything nuts, right? Typical stuff. But Tina was there too, though. He wanted Tina there as well, and so we went through, and yeah, I'll never forget that moment.